So down here visiting fam, I know you're based in D.C.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to talk about the Wizards at all. Really,
I would much prefer to talk about the Mystics.
Right.
Let's be honest with you.
Yeah, well, that's true.
They've been better lately. Haven't been able to hold leads versus Sun and Aces, but gave Asia her worst game. So it's coming.
I love Asia Wilson so much.
Oh my God, so much.
It's ridiculous.
She's so good. She's so good. Her and Plum went nasty. Like they both went off last night.
I mean, I saw just a bit of it. They ran Indiana off the floor.
Gray being back means Plum can be her natural scoring self and not worry so much about playmaking. That team they struggled early without Gray. That team looks damn near unbeatable right now.
It's just incredible. Yeah. It is incredible. What Caitlin Clark has done, and I know we weren't going to talk about this, but I want to start here. She has, for a lot of people, myself included, has given you a window into watching some of these incredible players. It's not like I've never seen the WNBA. Right. The level of athleticism is so different now than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, I don't know how you even describe Asia Wilson. She's not really Durant, right? Because I actually think she looks more athletic than Durant, and she's not as skinny as Durant.
You know who she reminds me of? Kevin Garnett.
Okay.
Like in where she's working, her on the elbow, the high post.
Everywhere.
And her passing ability. She had 5 blocks last night. The sort of defensive presence that she is. I think she's 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. She's so comfortable in her role. She's started to take a step back and knock down those 3-pointers.
Yes.
I cannot wait I think it's going to be them in the Liberty again. It's hard for me not to look at both of them and see that they're going to run this whole thing back. I know Minnesota Lynx have been good. The Sun have had their time. But, I mean, I'm looking at Stu. I'm looking at Sabrina Jones. Like, they have their big three, and you can tell when they play each other, it's going to get ramped up a little bit. Like I love that. Like I'm very, very excited for this season. It's been awesome.
I'm also excited for the All-Star game on the 20th.
Yes.
That team against the Team USA is just going to be tremendous. All right. I'm going to start with the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid, I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy. I really don't. I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy. But with bringing in Paul George and Tyrese Maxey getting paid, and if Embiid can stay healthy, is that the best challenger to the Boston Celtics?
I think right now it is. I don't think that this whole thing is settled quite yet. I have a hard time believing Miami is just going to do nothing, right? So far, their biggest signing has been re-signing Kevin Love for 2 years. And if you're talking about like a play-in team or a right outside the cusp of a playoff spot, and you're talking about championship, because that's their whole thing. You know, heat culture, we championships, we tougher, stronger, faster, whatever, right? That whole thing. Well, then you got to get better. Like, you have to have a higher caliber of talent. I think that they've really topped out with Hero and Butler and Adebayo. Like, okay, they're good, but their offense just struggles way too much. Butler hasn't played more than like 55 games.
Well, that's the problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, he's older. Like we have to take everybody off the LeBron. We got to take everybody off the LeBron scale. Right. 35 is old, my guy. And when it comes to hooping, you're supposed to be old. It's okay, right? And so you look at that. His just the way that he plays is so intense. You know what? Absolute monster on both ends of the court. Not quite as good defensively, but I think he has improved a little bit offensively, incrementally. But he can't be your best scorer, and you think that you're going to be in the championship caliber silver team. You're just not. Like they have a great defense. Adebayo gives them a lot of flexibility. They have I like a lot of their younger pieces. Jovic. I'm going to mess up all those at some point. But Jovic, their younger player that they got, I think, last year, like he has shown the ability.
Is he also Nikola? He's a Nikola Jovic.
I think, he's a
We have a Nikola Jovic. We have a Nikola Tovic.
Yes.
Stop it.
It's going to be rough for me. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm going to tear these names apart. Yeah. I am not going to mean to do it, but it's 100% going to happen. But they have good pieces. But if you're talking about that next level sort of stuff, they don't have that sort of top. To me, they don't have a top tier level scorer that they can count on. Tyler Hero, I think, hasn't quite been as good as they wanted him to.
He's like a second or third option to me.
And he's been on the trade block for like the last 2 years. And at some point, that does affect – you can be a professional all you want to be.
Right.
If you think that every trade deadline, this might be every time the phone rings, you don't even want to pick it up because you think you're about to go, to Detroit or whatever. Like, at some point, you have to pull the trigger. Yes or no. Is he in your long-term plans or not? And I don't think that that's helped the situation at all.
All right, let's get to the Lakers. What are your thoughts? I mean, there's so many things here. Bronny gets drafted 55. It was the easiest thing in the world to see coming down the road. That's fine. Your thoughts on that and everything else that's happened coming since then?
I mentioned I'm here to visit my pops. He's never made me a millionaire, which LeBron just did for Bronny. So I'm just
he was already a millionaire in college.
You're 100% right, and you might
wasn't he worth like $5 million in NIL?
Look, the Sierra Canyon to D1 pipeline. That nobody's going broke. Okay, I think Baycott just announced on Theo Pence's podcast.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, he just made like a smooth $2 million. bet money, my guy. It's going to be more than your rookie contract.
Good
Fantastic.
for him, man.
No,
Good
it is.
For him.
And he was a hell of a player. It would have been the most hilarious thing in the world if they drafted Bronny and then LeBron was like, okay, I'm going to leave free agency. Thanks, guys.
Durant.
I'm going to Durant. I think the most telling thing about him re-upping for that 2-year, $100 million is the fact that it happened after Klay came off the board.
Right.
And there was talk about whether or not he would be willing to take less money. He's only done it once, and that was for the Miami Heat. You don't become a billionaire by taking less money a lot of times.
You don't.
I've noticed that. But it was once Klay comes off the board, it happens almost pretty much immediately. I thought that I thought he was going to be with the Lakers. I did, between the ties with his father, with Klay Thompson's father, and just look, you know what you get in Klay. I know it's not necessarily the same version, but keep in mind he was 18 points per game last year, 38% from three on a high volume. That's not bad, right? Like, just because you weren't what you once were, can he be the number 2 scorer on a championship team anymore? No, he can't. But you saw even during stretches, whether or not he was coming off the bench or not, he still was a contributor. He fits in beautifully at Dallas, by the way. I love Derrick Jones Jr.
Also not capable of playing defense anymore. Oh! Sorry about that.
No,
we'll get to that later.
It's not great, right? His lateral movement isn't great, but you can maybe put him in some small ball 4 lineups and where he's playing some bigger guys because he is still a very good physical defender. He just in space he isn't as good. Yeah,
he used to be an elite defender. I do want to get back to Dallas. So once Bronny gets drafted, people lose their minds. Mm-hmm. Nepotism. Every facet of life involves nepotism. Every single facet of life. This is no different. It is not a unique situation. Was he drafted because his last name is James and his dad's name is LeBron? Yeah.
Probably had something to do with it.
He wouldn't have been drafted otherwise. But
I'm not sure if that's true. I would say that because
there were only 3 players drafted after him.
The general consensus or the reports coming out were that he was telling people not to draft him. Essentially, they were going to teams like you. There are reports of teams.
Why do teams have to listen to that? Yeah, look,
because I'm not going to deal with that with a second-round player. If you don't want to be here, fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not dealing with a second-round player.
So, I mean, the Lakers didn't have to draft him.
Right? No, I'm not saying I'm saying that I'm not sure he doesn't get drafted somewhere else and maybe even earlier if there isn't this larger power play of he wants to go play with LeBron.
He had a good combine. We know that.
He had a very good combine.
He impressed at the combine. So people lost their minds about nepotism and all that as though this is brand new to life. And then we just heard Chris Canty was like, what did you earn? What did you earn? I understand all of that. But I thought Redick, and we can talk about JJ as well, I thought Redick pointed out that you earned it from the hard work that you put in. So it isn't just that you averaged 4 points a game at Southern Cal. Like, I don't know what college statistics really get you because it got Kyle Filipowski a second-round spot in the draft. Yeah. Like,
I was surprised he went that low.
I was too, but he does lack some athleticism.
Certainly.
Right? And, I mean, he can be kind of bullied around a little bit, which is no good for a big man.
True.
But
I thought he was skilled enough as an offensive player. There's always going to be a role for that six. I mean, look, Valanciunas just signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with Washington, and he hasn't been any good on defense in a decade, right? Like, so there is a role. Yeah, can you shoot? Can you pick and pop? Can you space the floor? Hey, man, you're 7 feet tall. Welcome to the league, buddy.
Yeah, but he's got reverse wingspan. He's a T-Rex.
Oh no,
that's the T-Rex guy. That was the problem. Yeah, he's
unfortunate.
He's part T-Rex. So that criticism, like, how is Bronny going to deal with every time he does anything? You know, he misses a jump shot, turns the ball over, misses a defensive assignment. How's that going to play?
I remember LeBron telling the story, and you can take whatever LeBron's stories are with whatever grain of salt you feel.
Sure.
But he was like, yeah, he didn't want to wear 23 growing up because he didn't want people, thinking about me and that he's my son. Okay, when LeBron James Jr. goes to the free throw line and he's wearing number 8, I have no idea who his dad is. Thanks, Pops. He's had to deal with this in his entire life.
Right.
There is always going to be that chip on his shoulder of you're not as good as your dad. 100% correct. He will never be as good as his dad. He will never accomplish nearly as much as his dad has done. However, I think there is something to be said for learning at your dad's feet in terms of how do you work? How do you take care of your body? Mm-hmm. Like those sorts of things are things that he saw growing up. Like
the work.
Yeah, the actual work that is involved in staying in the league. There are a lot of people, by the way, there are a lot of number 55 picks that we never hear from again because they just didn't know how do you prepare for this sort of thing. He knows all of that. And so while he might not have the top tier talent of some of these other guys, he will at least understand how the game works and how to take care of yourself professionally. That might get you a long way.
Yeah. I mean he's going to have to perform. But
it's also a tough sample size because he did almost die, right? Like, you know what I mean?
That's the thing that got me about.
Somebody's got to give him a little bit of slack for that.
He averaged 4 points in Southern Cal. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
He had a cardiac event. Like he almost died. How many? What? 3 months before college?
Yeah.
Right. What are we doing? Do we forget that? Look, I don't know ultimately how good he's going to be.
Right.
He did get a 4-year contract.
Okay, wow. All right, that is impressive.
That doesn't happen.
That does not happen.
Last year, not this draft, last draft, the 55th pick overall was Isaiah Wong, who ultimately ended up with a 2-way deal, and I think played in the league this year all year.
Yeah, I think he was at least on a bench for a good
$700,000-$800,000, but that ain't guaranteed.
But what will be interesting to me is if Bronny, how much time he spends with the big club. Like normally guys that get drafted.
I don't think he's going to the G.
You don't think? See, like that's my whole thing. Like I don't know because look, as a basketball
if he
player,
has to, I guess he will.
Yeah, he's a good athlete for a guy who's 6'1". He's a good point of attack defender. He looks like he can be a solid catch and shoot sort of a guy.
Right.
He's not. He wasn't this overwhelming offensive presence, but him as a defensive player, yes, that is a legitimate thing that almost every scout that saw him. Yeah, you can be Pat. Look, I'll think about like Davion Mitchell.
Can he be Kennedy Carter?
Maybe. Honestly, yes. Somebody that comes off the bench and gives you a ton of energy and is just physical and up 100%. Like those, there are roles there, right? Just because you're not LeBron doesn't mean that you don't deserve and can't stay in that league.
Right. All right. I want to let you go get back to your families. I'm just going to extend this here a little bit longer.
That's fine. They ain't doing that. That's
fine. So, a couple of other teams. Let's get to Klay in Dallas. So, Klay goes down to Dallas where Luka Doncic cannot defend.
Nope.
And it really ultimately, that team played great defense, but ultimately when we got to the series against Boston, whether he was hurt or he just couldn't be bothered, it really impacted their inability to win that, to really impact the series. But Klay is definitely on the back nine. Kyrie's never been a great defender.
Yeah.
So right now, their 3 best. I don't know if Klay Thompson is one of their 3 best players.
I was about to say
2 best players and a significant other piece.
The 3rd best offensive player for sure.
Yeah, I look forward to, well, first of all, P.J. Washington. Yeah. And I look forward to
Lively.
I'm a team Derek Lively guy.
They're hoping he's going to clean up a lot of that stuff in front of him. Other part is Luka's got to be better. Like there is just
what is better?
Caring enough to get in the way of somebody. and then not complain about it if you get a foul.
Or is it? Yeah, that was the other problem with him. Or is it he just needs to be in better condition, and then that stuff will probably come.
But that's caring, right? That's caring in the offseason.
How do you
I
get
mentioned
that?
work earlier when I talked about Bronny. And
right.
Well, okay. Well, the thing that bothered me was Luka's been a professional for like 10 years. Like he started out when he was 15 or whatever.
At Real Madrid.
And we're still dealing with some of this stuff, and it seems like this should have been cleared up. Now, you could also go on the other end of that spectrum and say because he started so young, he maybe picked up some bad habits and never, because he was the golden child, never got those cleared out. And so maybe this finals can be an awakening. I kind of thought that we had already had that sort of – I thought Luka had done that earlier. Kid and him had talked about it at length during the regular season. But maybe this finals, you got to learn how to win. Go to the well and be denied. You got to learn how to win before you can. A lot of times happen with the Celtics. Jason Tatum talked about after they went to the finals the first time. He said, man, I had no idea how banged up I was at the end of the season. I have to take so much better care of my body during the season to last into June.
Right.
Like that's not a small thing. It's something that we kind of just take for granted. Oh, they can just play forever. No, you can't. And so maybe Luka learns that this offseason, hopefully.
Yeah, I was impressed with the way Kyrie has kind of turned his whole career around.
Yeah.
He still says, we still have weird comments from him, but that's fine. We're always going to have that.
100%.
That's fine. He likes to hear himself talk.
Absolutely. Yes, I can't believe that he does that.
Right, he does.
As I stare at myself in the mirror on the microphone.
But, he was so impressed. He did not have the series I thought he was going to have offensively. I thought, but a part of that is also, as we transition to Boston, the reason they won the title. I know Jason Tatum's great. Jaylen Brown was the best scorer in the series. The reason they won the title to me is Drew Holiday.
Yep. I can see that.
He's an adult.
Yeah.
You ask JJ Redick, who his favorite teammate was, he will tell you Drew Holiday. So I thought that what he gave them was a maturity, and he also gave them physical, on-ball defense. Now, they have other guys that stopped Kyrie. Derek White is part of that. But Drew Holiday, just point of attack defense.
It's tough,
to me,
man.
That's the reason.
He's smothering. And I remember when Milwaukee made the trade, and the first thing I think I came on the show and I was like, they're different. I don't know if they're better.
I hated that trade.
Like I was just like, man, you're doing something with Drew Holiday and kind of, I don't want to say disrespecting, but undervaluing what his contributions are. Dame is a phenomenal player, Hall of Famer, all that. But he has real deficiencies on defense, and you saw it a lot more glaringly when he was on Milwaukee because they weren't used to having to clean up that sort of defense where you're just dying on every screen. Like, oh, hey, you want to hop back in this play real quick, Dame? You know what I mean? And Drew Holiday, he's a good defender. He's a good rebounder. He's an efficient scorer. He's not a guy that you're going to give the ball to, but he's a good catch and shoot guy and can create off the dribble. Like, he does so many things with that. He's a low maintenance superstar kind of thing. Not superstar, but he's that kind of a player that they added. And then defensively, they just went into a stratosphere and they didn't even need Kristaps by the end of that thing. I mean, that's the scary. Like, if he's actually healthy, I mean, that's a tough one.
I'm not sure he's ever going to be healthy, right?
Fair,
but
fair.
Yeah, they ultimately didn't need the uniqueness of somebody who looks like that, who can play like him. Holiday doesn't need the ball.
Nope.
Right? He doesn't need the ball to score. He doesn't need the ball to impact the game.
Which is important when you got guys like Brown and Tatum on your team who do need the ball a lot in their hands. You can't have a point guard that also needs it.
No question. Giannis needs to be healthy, obviously.
Yes.
Milwaukee, have they kind of fallen behind the Sixers and the Knicks, even though they've got a guy like Giannis?
I don't know if they've fallen behind the Sixers yet because you mentioned Kristaps not being healthy, Embiid, Paul George has got his injury history as well. Like you're banking on them both being healthy at the end of the season.
Well, Paul George has to be healthy because otherwise, what's Philly doing?
Exactly, you're 100% right. But they were able to add that piece. There are some teams that I don't know what they're doing. Like I look at the Clippers. And they just added Kevin Porter Jr., who's had his own off the court stuff. Apparently, they're interested in Miles Bridges. I'm not 100% sure of like what the culture is that they're trying to build over there, or what's going on. I don't know if they're trying to, you see Kawhi get injured at the end of every single season. I don't know if it's maybe starting to occur to them that this is you just can't outspend your problem. You need to like maybe fix it.
All right, a couple of more things, then we'll let you go. Charlotte. Why'd you laugh?
You know why I laughed.
Why'd you laugh? What is their future?
If they can't stay healthy, they don't have one. LaMelo Ball. I was.
Well, they need obviously LaMelo, the Ball family.
I was thinking about this though because I can get in the doldrums with the Hornets quickly because it's been disappointment after disappointment. They got rid of Gordon Hayward. They got something for PJ Washington. I like both of those decisions because they weren't going anywhere. Rozier as well.
By the way, Kemba announced his retirement.
He did announce it. One of the greatest. I have to really think about it, but it's one of the greatest Hornets ever.
Certainly in the starting five.
Yeah, he's 100% in the starting five. I was thinking about this in particularly with LaMelo. Sometimes because he's been around so much, I think of him more as a finished product than he is. Connect, that just got drafted from Tennessee, and who I think is going to be great for the Lakers. He's older than LaMelo.
Yeah.
And like LaMelo's been in the league for quite some time now. And so he's not necessarily a finished product, but he has to be healthy. Brandon Miller is somebody that had a wonderful rookie season, was one of the better rookies all year long. Wasn't Wemby or Chet, but was a really, really good rookie. Mark Williams also has to be healthy.
Right.
This is the second season he hasn't been healthy for large stretches of the season. You can't have that. And as I mentioned, the draft picks that they have, 2021, JT Thor, they just waived JT Thor.
Right.
He was the last of the four guys that they drafted in 2021. It was Thor, Kai Jones, James Bouknight, and somebody else.
Oof.
Nobody's there anymore. You cannot miss on an entire draft. You can't have 4 shots at it.
Right.
And then 3 years later, nobody's on the team.
Yeah.
That is a failing of your management. That's it. That is all that is. You could say it's one guy. You could say it's 2 guys. It ain't 4. It ain't 4. And that means that they have to do a better job of getting the right people in that building and keeping them healthy. Because there's been talent there. They just, for some reason, can't seem to stay healthy or can't seem to keep it in the building.
Yeah, look, I don't know where they go. I do know it's tough to get incrementally better in the NBA, right? It unless you hit on the draft pick, and I think you and I have differing opinions of what LaMelo Ball is.
We do,
right? I don't think LaMelo, like, he's due for one of those big deals now.
Mm-hmm.
If I were the Hornets, I wouldn't. I would be looking to say, oh, who wants LaMelo and what could I get and reset? But I understand the immense talent that is there. I just don't necessarily trust it. And I don't know if it's winning talent. I know it's talent. I know how good he can be. I just don't know if I can win with him.
I know when he is healthy, when he's had these stretches of health, that team runs and plays a lot better. Because that is such a rarity for long stretches of time, you can't really take it at face value. Because, hey, maybe it's towards the end of the season when guys aren't playing anymore, and now all of a sudden you're putting up empty numbers. Because that is certainly a thing that some fans think, like, hey, these numbers are great. Hey, you're shooting 10 threes a game. You're making 40% of them. You're averaging 24 points, 7 assists, or whatever it is. Those are nice.
Yeah.
Those are very nice numbers.
No joke.
But if it's not translating to wins, is it just, what's it called, a robber in a riot? Where it's like, yeah, you don't have to be George Clooney in Ocean's 11 to steal something if the Capitol building's on fire, right?
Right.
Like is this real skill or is this just something that's kind of make believe? And I think because of his the Ball family past, generally speaking, people can kind of skew him to the side as, he's kind of a joke, he's kind of a circus act,
right.
And always has been. And he enjoys being kind of a star, right? This guy was on cover of GQ.
Yes, he does.
He likes being in front of stuff.
He likes his cars. He likes to break traffic laws.
Yes, he does. He's he's got to chill with that. Yeah, absolutely. Uber is your friend, bro. It's fine. You don't have to whip everywhere. But I still believe in LaMelo Ball. I really do. My issue was with management, and we've had overturn in ownership. So maybe they'll clean house and figure some stuff out. Because right now it's a joke.
Final thing for Brenden Whitted, Greg Berhalter have to get got?
Man, look.
I know you're into it now.
No, but people really remember that. Like the Panama,
Yeah.
I think the Panama match is really when it just started going all over my timeline, and then
that
it's like
wasn't really his fault. It was Tim Weah's fault.
yeah, you can't go out slugging, fam. But people are starting to say, that's attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there's some of that,
yeah.
and then there's more about like how he wants to play possession soccer that
boring.
They say that they don't have the people for it. Or I ain't quite there yet.
Right.
You'd have to hit me up on exactly what that means. But like they don't seem to like it. I'm like, damn, homie.
To me, he's risk averse. He doesn't. They're not going for it. I'd rather see them play more an exciting brand of soccer.
When I've heard of this, though, I've heard of there's also a cultural problem with soccer in terms of like their barriers to entry are too high for other people to get in.
There is a legitimate conversation about the way, it's not necessarily the way we develop, but the way we get people, young kids, into the game. It is, to advance, it is expensive. I can show you. It is expensive to do it. We're going to Denver.
Congratulations to your son, by the way. That's
it's 2.5 weeks. We're going to Denver. That's not a cheap trip. So, yeah, it is expensive, and it probably does weed some people out. I think that for people who say that's the reason, I think you're missing a giant number of other reasons, but it's not insignificant.
Right.
It is a problem with our developmental system. But I would say that just look around other sports too.
Yeah, I guess
All right, we're good at hockey in the United States now.
That's true.
And ain't nothing more expensive than hockey. Nothing.
That's real.
Anybody that has had a kid playing hockey, I mean, a stick, they break. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.